Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Self-Help Graphics Artist Lab. My name is Marbella Muro. I am the Director of Artistic Programs and Education, and these coming weeks, we will be doing something a little different. As part of the Artist Lab program, we are excited to present in the studio, which will feature two types of studio visits with Self-Help Graphics family of artists. This program aims to maintain the artist community connected during this period of isolation, provide support, and reflect on our shared experiences. On some nights, we will visit 3 artist studios and invite them to talk about their practice and show examples of their work. The second type of studio visit will present one-on-one conversations with our studio coordinator and apprentice, Andy Soch, as well with artists who recently printed in the Serigraph studio. And just to let you know, these prints will be on view on June 13th as part of our annual print fair. So they'll be available, you'll be able to see these on Facebook and again, on our website. So tonight we have the honor of hosting 3 incredible artists who I consider storytellers and incorporate symbols or references of their ancestors' shared stories or legends. So first, I'm going to share my screen with you. So we have Pavel, Oaxacan-born printmaker and muralist, Pavel Acevedo, who's joining us from Riverside. He was to be Self-Help Graphics artist in residence this spring, but we had to shift course at the moment. But I can't wait to be able to pick up where we left off. And then, so he's exhibited with Self-Help Graphics in the past, and most recently in 2019, he participated in an atelier titled Utopia Dystopia with 25 other artists. To make the tonight's program more engaging, he invited 2 other artists whose work he admires and who have also worked with Self-Help Graphics Studio or collaborated with the organization. So we have Manny Chekalin. She's a Diné Chicana artist from Albuquerque, New Mexico. She is a painter, illustrator, designer, and muralist whose work is rooted in social change, community, and integrating art with education. Nani is responsible for this beautiful dynamic mural, Resist, which is on the west side of the building, of Self-Help Graphics building. And finally, we have Daniel Gonzales, who is joining us from his home studio in El Sereno. His work is primarily in relief and letterpress, and he is also a graphic designer. Daniel has had a long history with Self-Help Graphics, and we are presenting here a beautiful laser cut print that he did for our 40th Day of the Dead celebration. And I'm very excited to have them all here today. So with that, so we're going to, sorry about that. So each of the artists is going to have 15 minutes to do a studio tour. And then after that, we'll jump into a conversation with the group. And if you have any questions, please feel free to put them on your chat box, on the chat box, and then we'll convey the questions to the artist in the last 10 minutes of the presentation or the program. And so with that, Pavel, I will hand you the mic.
Hi, how are you? Good evening. Thanks for having me. Yeah, thanks. It's good to see everybody. And everybody is like safe in their space. Well, yeah, this time that I've been like working at my studio like house here in Riverside, and I've been just taking more time about like spending more time with my work. I started like creating small prints. Then later I'm just kind of like translated to like a larger scale like carvings or yeah, carvings specifically. And some of them, they probably were gonna be, I was thinking to do it in painting the mural. And after everything is done, after everything just happened, it has to be in whole. Of course, I was doing 2 residency in Berkeley with Kala. same. It's still, it's just everything has been shifted. But yeah, so far I've been like working in this like characters. Uh, which, oh well, no, it's,
Pavel, we can't see them.
yeah,
Maybe because of your background.
yeah. Maybe if I switch the.
Okay.
So yeah, I've been just like working on this characters. Basically, they're like from stories that I was told by my grandpa like a while ago, a long time ago. So I'm just like start like coming up with these characters I'm gonna be like including into my artwork. That I'm just like start working with this. There's no like so there's just a small prints that I'm just creating just for right now. And those this same characters I'm just like going on and through like all the like pieces that I've been working. Basically, they're like woodcuts and some stories about other animals that have been working like this bat here. So, and this is same. It's a version of a small version of a large woodcut that I'm creating right now. So I'm just like going through like all these like animals. Some of them like they're like animals. They were like they belong from part of places that I used to live. For example, on the Pacific coast of Oaxaca, and some other ones from the Oaxaca city, and some other ones that are like related to here to California. And yeah, I've been working to like, for example, doing a couple more studies of like just bees, like, and this is just like just a small studies for like large galleries that I've been working with. So like, for example, doing this other one, like mixing more like between like the portrait and the animals, just like creating this like hybrids, like stories, like same like this seem like is comes from you can say like fantastical like narrative that I was told, and this is part of like it was part of my education with my grandpa, and it repeats again with like the education of my daughter. It's something that we talk about like what's her like heritage, or we like to talk about like where she's coming from, where we're coming from, like specifically from my part. And yeah, this is like yeah part of the other ones just doing right now small prints, but basically just spending more time with my work and before sharing it, just feel like how it's like evolving, and just how our artwork will be affected by what's the circumstances, but without putting thinking about like what's happening right now. It's just like if it comes, it comes. Otherwise, I would just like just uh, just going through this whatever everybody's going by the shelter in place. Yeah, and recently I finished too like a mural before everything was going to shelter in place. Just recently finished a mural here at Chaffey College, and I've been spending more time working on digital like artwork. For example, I'm working right now in for a for an LP for a band called Coherence, and it's a collaboration with with the record label from Philly, from Pennsylvania. It's Get Better Records, and another label from here, a DIY label from Riverside. It's called like Ethos Fine Noise Records. So that's I cannot share right now because it's just still in process, and like it's the work this in it's still in process, and it's just like it's a collaboration. So until like the group feels we already get into something we share, but it's still just time with that project to change because it's a band and cannot be like performing right now like many other bands, so many other artists. So it's gonna take a time to probably appear. Yeah, this is how I like been thinking. I'm like I'm lucky to have like a press home too, so I can be printing, and I can just like actually I can just like be doing stuff if I have to do something big, I can just be like printing by hand. I might show you some large carvings. You know. This is one of the carvings I was like working at Self-Help Graphics to start before everything. So it's same, it's just like the hybrid between like an animal and a person. Same with this other one. It's just there's large carvings.
Pavel, I just the if you could talk about the one with your daughter and the turtle, which was the first one that you showed.
Oh yeah, yeah. This is the one. Yeah, it's in an MDF. So for example, this is the like the turtle is a representation of like it's a map, and like the belly part is like the one that's connected to the air. So like basically I'm just like what could like be it could be like what is it called, like it's just like imaginary map, and like just putting like since like what's the water, and like just having the representations of the eyes that will mean like the stars, the sky. And yeah, this she's on the belly, and she's just like wearing a mask, because at the same time like for her like it's like a representation of these characters that I used to like, that I used to be told about. They were like kids, but you couldn't see like, you couldn't notice their gender, you couldn't notice the age, but they used to be like on the forest, and those were like part of the stories that I used to hear by my grandpa. So this is like what I'm like choosing those parts to like be represented in those like new carvings that I've been like doing. So in some older parents that like it's the same child, but like wearing different like mask of could be an animal or could be anything else. So yeah, you spend a little bit more time like just drawing and like doing like different stories of the same image, just to see like what else is developing with the same with this work.
I'm breaking away, my rule of leaving the questions till the end, but there is a question which is very, I guess for now, it's they're asking what you use to stain the block red.
Excuse me?
What did you use to stain your block red?
I use ink. I use red ink to stain my plates, and it can be like any water-based ink, or if it has to be like a pre-making ink, you only use a tint, so that will help to create a contrast while I'm working. So that's what I use. It's just so simple. And the same, I was like doing the character, and this is another one too, like just inspired the same image. And this story create another like piece that I'm working right now too as well. So after while I'm working in one piece, it just pops up another like branch, and from that one it pops up to another. So it's just like, and it's like it's expanding and expanding. So in for example, if I like with those like displays that they're like larger scale, after I'm not worried about like how I'm gonna be printing, because I mean I know I can do it by hand, you know, and it could just take the time. There's not a schedule right now for me, I feel like. So that's a positive way, because if something like comes in the process, or something like it opens a question mark, it I will be ready to switch, right? So, okay, so this is my time. Thank you.
So Nani, do you want to?
Hi.
Welcome.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Welcome to my house. So my name is Nanibah Chacon, or Nani Chacon. I use as my name also. And I'm primarily, most of the work that I do, I do large scale public work pieces. And I'm also a painter. A lot of I want to say right now about 70% of the bulk of the work that I do is as a muralist. And within that genre, most of the work is community engaged. And that taking all different forms and capacities on how to make that happen. I really think that when creating this kind of work, that it's important that it speaks to the space, that it's not just an image that I'm putting up on the wall, that really that the piece itself is in conversation with the landscape and also with the people that are there. So in order to make that happen, and as part of my process, it's really important for me to connect with community and to include community into that process. And I would like to say that, like, I wish that was like some easy kind of format that I insert into every project, but because everybody is different, every situation is different, every wall is different, every community is different, it really is a lot more of an organic process that becomes tailored within the process itself, and is different just about every time. And for me is what makes doing the work that I do the most interesting. I think that working on walls, working in public spaces is the medium that I'm most comfortable in. But like I said, I do other stuff too. I'm a painter. Once in a while I'll do illustrations as commissions, and maybe even some small design work as part of that. But for right now, the majority of the work that I'm really enjoying doing is painting on walls. So in this time, it's actually been pretty difficult to do that. With this social distancing time and kind of being inside of our homes and working working from home and out of the public. A large majority of the pieces that I had lined up through this time in the summer, which is my busiest time to work, were canceled or postponed. And with that, it's it's hard to say when that'll pick up again, when that'll be accessible to do in the time that we need to do it. So, but nevertheless, I have still been working on sketches, and I've been really grateful for just this time to really explore working in a different way and working in a more collective way, and still being in contact with the people who are supporting these projects. A lot of the projects that I do as an artist aren't something that just kind of get picked up, right away, give me a call or something, and then the next week I'm doing a project. It takes about a year or 6 months to a year to really plan something out. And so because there's already that kind of investment into something, a lot of these projects will continue on, but we're finding ways that we can support them even in this time of social distancing. I'm going to share my screen just to show what I've been working on while at this time. I have a studio here in Albuquerque, but for right now, I've been going there a lot less, and mostly just staying here at home with my son and working at home when I can. And sorry, I'm just trying to figure out how to share my screen again.
So at the bottom of the screen? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
You guys can see? Okay. So just to kind of walk you through a little bit of process and kind of bring you into my work, which is the easiest way that I can do something, and kind of explain who I am as an artist. I start out every project kind of drawing, and drawing is a very, very big part of my process. Everything that I do starts out with me looking at the space of the building first and the architecture and how something will interplay with that architecture. This piece in particular was supposed to be completed this summer at Idlewild Arts Center, kind of near Los Angeles. And in those mountain ranges are the traditional homelands of the Cahuilla, and they do basket weaving. And the area where this building is, which is actually an arts building, it's like kind of this arts little bungalow building, is in an area where all of the materials that are used in that process are collected and gathered. And really, I wanted to create a piece that was just, especially because Idlewild is an art school, that would really make students reflect on process and think about process and inspiration as not being this kind of like epiphany or that it's something, you know, that happens in a moment, but really it's a cultivation throughout time. And a lot of inspiration comes from the cultivation of materials and being able to have that accessibility of materials. A lot of the times as artists, I think that we think about materials as going to the art store and getting something. And I really wanted them to think about the process of not only making the piece, but the process of having the materials you have to make them. So this piece is basically a nod towards that. And it's a woman in process of making a basket. This is as far as this project has gone right now. I hope that it will happen next year is what we're planning on. And I anticipate with every mural project, this is kind of like the first layer, and things kind of will change after this. And it'll be interesting to see what the finished product will be. This, am I back? Is it back to showing me? Or is it still showing my screen?
No, go back to sharing your screen.
Okay. Sorry, guys. New experience for me.
For everyone.
Yeah, right. Okay, this is a project that I started back actually in October. And I've been working on it recently during this time that we're in social isolation. It started back in October. It's for a place out here called Valle de Oro, and it's a national wildlife refuge. And these lands that you see behind the photo, they are these migration lands that all of these birds land at. And at one point they were very abundant. They had wetlands and they had a bunch of foliage and a lot of things. But of course, through industry and time, it was at some point bought and kind of leveled out for growing alfalfa. And in more recent times, in the past 10 years, it was repurchased as a national wildlife refuge, and they're beginning a restoration project to bring these lands back to what they were. And it's a really incredible place, just because being out here, you're kind of stepping back in time, and you see that no matter what happens through landscape, through atrocity, through shifts in landscape, through shifts in culture, that nature prevails. And I think that because you see all of these birds that have been coming here for forever, and it's really, really amazing. So what Valle de Oro decided that they would do is, in the process of this restoration happening, that there's little area, there's separate areas around this acreage, and each area is kind of a different zone, I want to say, for the refuge. And so instead of doing signage that was going to say, like, this is the wetlands area, or this is the, the watershed, or this is part of the bosque, they decided to have muralists come in and do these kind of billboards, conceptual signage pieces. So this project began in October, which is not the best time to start a mural project out here. It was really cold, and you can see how flat and barren it is. So it was really just hard to work on it at that time. And so the park was, and their staff was really gracious in letting us take the time that we wanted to make it. So I really have taken this as an opportunity just to dive into process, and really in this time of not having a clearer schedule and not working as much, to really relish in having time to work on something and try new things in painting. I think a lot of the times, sometimes we don't get to do that enough. We don't get to sit down with a project and really try different things and make a mess of things and go back and experiment. So with this project, I've really taken my time and been detailed, been careful, but also had opportunities to play. The content of this piece was, when we worked on coming up with this content, we worked with the staff, and we also worked with conservators. And a lot of the times I like to get what the idea is, what is the feeling of this piece, because that's one of the things that I feel is really important about creating art as dialogue, is that not only can we use a piece to have dialogue, but it evokes so many other things. It evokes inspiration, it evokes emotion, and it kind of has all, these multi-layers that we can get at. And one of the things that struck me that the conservators had said, and also the Valle de Oro staff, was that they wanted the idea of this park to reach beyond the idea that conservatory is meant for scientists and is meant for educated people and is meant for centers, that really conservation needs to start with people. And in my mind, that idea began with conservatory, really, and that care and being able to care for nature and learn from nature, starting with children. So I really wanted to make the children of this piece the focal points. I'll show a little video. Oh,
Gotta share it again.
hold on, I lost it. Where did it go? Maybe I won't show a video.
What was it about?
It was just the details of this piece, since I kind of gave a far away.
Mhm.
Okay. Oh, I guess I can't expand that anymore. Well, let's see. Sure. Nope. Oop. Okay. Maybe you guys can see that.
Yes, we do.
Sorry about all the other stuff, but yeah, just so you could see a little bit more of the details that are happening here. And the animals, all of the animals and plants are regional. Yeah, so like I said, every project that I work on is a little bit different in the way that it comes about. I really like to take time to kind of have these components. Education sometimes works within a project, sometimes it doesn't. But every piece that I make, I definitely think about it being a project-based approach rather than just this is my practice that I do every single time and this is what I work on. And for me, that's what really keeps it exciting and keeps me invested in what I'm doing. It's definitely been a challenge at this time. I have been taking on maybe some smaller commissions and stuff like that just to kind of pull through, but also I'm happy to, you know, have this moment, I guess, of not being so busy and not having to be so productive. I think coming into this summer, it was going to be a very, very busy summer and kind of have things, you know, back to back almost the entire summer. And now that we're all kind of in this hole, I'm actually finding that I'm enjoying the time to be more collective in thought and to think about really how I want to make these connections happen in the work that I'm making. Because I think it's infinite. And I a lot of the times when you're in the moment of doing something, you can lose sight of the nuances that exist. And really in this time, I'm enjoying being able to step back and look at my own process and look at the way that I think about things and the way that I want to create things and really have a more nuanced approach and a more contemplative approach. So yeah.
So the process is just even slower than before, slowing
For
down
right,
even more.
for right now, yeah. I mean, like I said, a lot of projects that I work on, you know, they can take up to a year of planning, and then at the end, it's, you know, painting the mural happens within a week, but that's only a portion of the process. And that's something I think that a lot of people don't really think about. You know, they see the end result of it and that's kind of it. You know, they don't really think about all of the other factors that came into making that piece.
Yeah.
And for me, that's as much of the process as anything else, if not even more, because all of that expansion the year prior is really what created what you see in front of you, created all of those layers, created all of that. Yeah, I mean, I think about now too, where of course I love painting, and I think I'll always be a painter in some capacity because I really love that, and I love drawing. But I also think about where, you know, my work could reach into other mediums, and I'm interested in that as well. So, I mean, as an artist, you know, you're not defined by your medium, you're defined by the way that you think and the way that you view the world and approach the world. And so now that, you know, I have these moments to kind of step back and be contemplative in my own actions and what I'm thinking, what I'm viewing. And it feels really good to be able to have that space, you know, have that space around everything.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. And so we're going to ask Daniel to share his work and what he's been up to in these few or several weeks now.
So, am I on? Okay. Sorry, guys. It's a whole new experience, I think, for everybody, especially for me. I'm not used to doing these kind of meetings. But hi, my name is Daniel Gonzales, and right now I'm at at the studio over here in El Sereno, which is a neighborhood northeast of Los Angeles. Down the street, we'll have Alhambra. Further up, we'll have South Pasadena. And yeah, I'm just in this little storefront over here. And I've been kind of just in here working. I'm lucky enough that I could still come in to do my work. I checked in with the health department. I'm not breaking any ordinances. They sent me a letter saying that I'm okay to be in here. Just making sure I don't have any employees. And I've just been trying to keep calm. And part of that is just continue making artwork and continue making prints. I had a couple of projects that came across right before this happened that I'm just completing. One of them was creating these illustrations for High Country News. I created 5 different little illustrations, and you can see those on my Instagram. But I can show you how they looked out laid out on the page. And what this project is about how animals communicate with each other through long distances using different tactics, sound, smell, chemicals, and how like how they're able to maintain this communication, um, even though even though we're sheltering. I guess the reflection is the animal kingdom has a way of communicating beyond the physical, just kind of like what we're doing now today through this technology. And most of my artwork, I do with this process called lino cut, and these are the blocks that I use. These are the blocks that I made for that illustration project. And a lot of the work that part of my work is illustration, but also the other part is letterpress printing and lino cut art. And a lot of the topics that I touch on have to do with space, have to do with history. I love history, but what I don't love about it is how it kind of leaves out these little details. It leaves me out. It leaves Native voices out. It leaves colored people out. It leaves women out, and trying to find those echoes within that history, and how can you bring them forward, right? So behind me is kind of like the first map of the city of Los Angeles, and you notice something really cool about this map is that you could see the transition. I could actually standing right behind it, between where the streets start becoming translated from Spanish into English. And of course, the site of where the town was built was the site where the Tongva village of Yagna was built right over it. So there's all these different layers within these maps. And then of course you have all this boosterism that was happening in the 20s and 30s, where this real estate boom was driving many people in. And then you have these imagined histories, right? This is a map by this artist, Joe Mora. And it's a beautiful map, but you kind of see like around me how the history of this area has been turned into like this little comic strip, you know, and it's very cute to read and very cute to to look at, but it's kind of like reduced this very violent past. Right here you can see like the real estate boom, right? And you can see all these different images. It's kind of reduced it into like these like cartoonish forms, for consumption. You could buy this map and you could put it up in your wall and not think anything of it. But when the truth is that our history was fraught with violence, this is kind of my interpretation of the town of LA. Here, I'll move aside so you can see it. And this is a lino cut that I made it's called Vista del Pueblo de Nuestra Señora de Los Ángeles, circa 1860. And in the 1860s, it was very plein air painting was kind of very much in fashion, and people would flock to places like California because of its natural beauty and make these fantastic landscapes, right? And a lot of these landscapes, end up going to museums and they get hung up, but they always leave out like the details that are inconvenient, right, for the viewer. And when I did this landscape, I inserted it back. 1860 was a very violent time for Los Angeles, and even before then, there was violence being inflicted on Native communities, on First People, on Tongva, there was violence being inflicted on uh, uh, on people of color as the westward expansion was happening. Um, and I put that in these, put that in so that to get the conversation started and to kind of question what these narratives are, and are they really factual, or are they really supporting like the Smith? Part of my work also explores kind of like the impermanence of place. This is a very early piece that I did of and you see this guy. This guy's kind of like a mythological creature, a nahual. You see his hands, are human, have this human form, and then on its back is like this city, right, or these little different pieces of architecture, and it's kind of like running forward, moving forward. Like you have like this idea of progress, this dream, right, becoming this nightmare, this kind of invading my dreams. I'm living in an environment that has all these ghosts, has all these echoes, and I'm trying to pin them down into my work and listen to them. And within that process, I'm also trying to place myself, as a Chicano, as a Mexican American, as a first generation son of immigrants from Zacatecas, as a family with a background in agriculture. Like, how do I fit in an urban space like Los Angeles? Um, this is from a print called Calaveras Maromeras, and then learning about, hear about Day of the Dead and about this idea of how the dead go back home. What happens with people like me? Where's my homeland? Is it up here? Is it my parents' hometown of Teul? Is it down here? Is it my home of Los Angeles, the city that I love and that I love being in and participating in? And these are questions that kind of that I explore through my work. And then I'm just gonna circle back to like a recent print that I published a couple days ago. This is the cover for a book called East of East, The Making of Greater El Monte. And this is Rosemead Boulevard over by the Starlight Swap Meet, which was a gathering place for, for many people from my community. My parents met here in this community. This swap meet was where people came over to do shopping, buy auto parts, and is very much a big part of our memory as immigrants. This is like this, you know, it wasn't just money that was being exchanged. It was also knowledge. It was also um, memories were being built. My first job was at the swap meet, working for a cassette man. They used to have these trays of cassettes, and he would set them up, and I would help him break down his booth on Sundays. I would go with him, just turn a couple bucks for that weekend. So these are the kind of topics that my work explores. And now, if I may, I'm going to try to do something here with Zoom. I'm gonna try to hook it up to my phone so that I could show you guys around the studio. Let's see if it works, so I could carry around. Maybe not. So we'll just keep it there. It got into like a weird echo. But yeah, I wanted to show you my letterpress and kind of like the tools that I use. And
Why don't you try to put your phone on mute and maybe it'll work?
Maybe let me give that a shot. Anyways, technology, we're all learning how to, how to be physically distant, but not, socially. Let's see here.
I love the Starlight swap meet. I used to go there all the time. It's such a great place. It's a gathering place. Yeah.
No, definitely. Let's see if we can start. Oh, there I am. And maybe if you could highlight it. Does that work? Can you all see that?
I can see you.
Okay, so here we go. I'm gonna try to flip the camera around, but yeah, this is is my storefront. I didn't try to clean it up. This is the mess that I was making earlier today. I'm working on this small project here. This is the press that I use. So of course,
Pero no me marees.
I'm trying to flip the camera, but you know what?
No, nomás just go a little slower.
So by the time I figure out how to use this, I think my time will be up. But
No, you're doing great now.
okay. So this is the press that I use, and this is my little baby food station here. And this is another little press that I use for letterpress printing. That's my plant. Very happy. It keeps the air in here clean. And that's my canary in the mine. If that plant starts dying, I need to air it out. And this is my drying rack, and right now we have these
Oh,
prints, right?
yeah,
So I'm gonna go back to
you did great.
okay. So you guys can hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So in a nutshell, respecting the time and everything, that's kind of what I do. Printmaking and letterpress, they're it's for me, I'm reclaiming it because this technology has kind of been used, you know, has been used really. If you think about it, it's been used as a means of control, and for someone of color to kind of own a press and to create media, for me, anyways, it's a very liberating act, right? Because with owning a press, I really do have that freedom of the press. I could create any media that I want and replicate it, publish it, distribute it, and it could be anything I want. I could build, I could continue to push forward all these voices, and present all these like lost nuances and stories that aren't being really talked about through this very attractive medium, right? That already echoes the past. So I ended up doing this really out of necessity. When I was in college, I used to paint, and then all of a sudden I didn't have access to art materials. I used to go through community art mural workshop, and I started doing printmaking because there was a big printmaking facility over at the college I used to go to that was practically empty because everybody wanted to get those internet bucks. So I started going in there at night and just kind of doing it on my own. And some friends, showed me the tools, and I started volunteering at Center for the Book. And I really didn't have my first printmaking class until I went into Mission Grafica, the Mission Cultural Center, with Maestro Juan Fuentes. And he's the one that kind of like really started formalizing my learning around printmaking technique and medium and editioning prints. And yeah, I came back and bought this press, and I've been married ever since. That's my machine over there. And yeah, I mean, right now through this period of time, I'm trying to build some kind of stability, just because I really can't just pick up and like shutter the studio like, oh, well, I'm not making any money, I'm just going to close it up, because this thing weighs like a ton and a half, and it takes specialty movers to move it around. So I'm trying to keep calm, but I'm trying to keep positive about the future of the arts. The Nation came out with a very bleak article, the Nation, the publication, about the arts, and it's a point of view that I completely disagree with. I think an artist and the arts are essential, and that's been true historically, and I think will remain true now. I think people will learn, will realize like what a source of important source of expression it is for society and for individuals to have, and part of that we make that part of that resource, right? So I just wanted to conclude with that thought that artists are essential. If you'd like to see more of my work, you could see my Instagram page and my webpage, printgonzales.com. And I'll just leave it at that.
Thank you, Daniel. So we have one question before I wanted to invite you three to, if you have, comments about each other's work, but I do want to point this out. This question is that if you're accepting orders, so I will ask Daniel to repeat his social media handles, and then Nani, and then Pavel, and we will list them on our website as well, on our Facebook and our YouTube page as well. So can you repeat it again, Daniel?
Yeah, it's Print Gonzales, and that's printgonzales.com and Print Gonzales on Instagram and on on Facebook.
Yeah.
So you could, yeah, and I am taking orders and I'm still shipping as long as we have the post office.
Yeah, we will. Nani?
My Instagram is at Nanibah, just like my first name, Nanibah. And I also have another one that's more archive work, and it's my full name at Nanibah Chacon.
My Instagram is Pavel Acevedo, and I'm taking like any commissions. I don't have any. My work, I just like have. If you see something, just like email me. I'm just like really old school. I don't like to put everything out there. Just like ask. It's better. It will start a better conversation like that. You shoot me an email.
Yeah, I'm the same like Pavel. Whatever he said, I'm the same.
I have to just think back about what you said, Daniel, about the power of owning your equipment, and I know, Pavel, you do too, have your own press, and but not you're not a printmaker, but you still have so much, your studio accessibility. Unfortunately with the murals, I did have to stop, but there is still much power to have when you have the accessibility to those tools, which is great. And I was wondering, it's great. I was wondering also, Nani had mentioned about her process and of taking her time and just reflecting more about her process. I'm wondering if Daniel and Pavel, if your process or your thought process and even in the execution of your work has shifted in some way during this period. And it goes back to you too, Nani, as well.
Yes, it's been like shifted. Like for example, when Nani was talking about like just spending more time and just like discovering and like trying to experiment more in your artwork. That's what I felt like it's been happening to me, and it kind of takes me more into like how I'm gonna present my work to put it out there, especially when we have like social media. It's like something that it's an easy way for like people, almost for everybody. But at the same time, it put me more like into question on how like I want to take more time to put things for people and actually make it more like I don't know, like people who actually try to like spend more time for them, to value what we're doing, because sometimes it's not easy, like the time that we put on our for our artwork, all the energy that we put out there, and I just felt is somebody appreciating that part of like how like the time they put on the craft and how we're learning ourselves, because every project is like we learn something more about it. We fail, we try another thing, and I felt like it will be a good question for people to feel it's not easy, for them to like to grab them and to hold it and like it's possible. I think if it probably narrows for me like to more in a specific group, of there's like it's more limited, I think probably that will be okay. I think that's my feeling right now.
Mhm.
Okay.
Anyone else like to share?
My process, I kind of feel like for right now, I'm not thinking too far into, you know, how I'm going to shift things or how I'm going to change things, because we right now collectively are still in it, whatever it is. And it's very hard to make those kind of, I guess, like those kind of assumptions or try to anticipate what the future will hold, or even how I'm going to be as an artist, as a person, as a mother, as a human in the world. And so for right now, of course, I mean, my practice has shifted because I can't be in the public, you know, I've let go a number of commissions that were on street level. I'm not doing anything like that. You know, I still enjoy aspects of my practice. And I think what I do really like is I like connectivity, you know, and right now for me, and making work in response to that, making work in response to connecting. So for right now, it's more about kind of just exploring the idea of connectivity. And that's what we're all doing anyway. It's like, you know, we're kind of all in this big experiment, but also, you know, of like taking away the ways that we're normally used to communicating, interacting, feeling valid, all of those things. And we've reduced it, and we've taken away components, but yet we still have this drive and this need to fulfill that. And so for me, it's really about finding that again, you know, finding that in different ways. Like I said, my medium is painting right now, but it doesn't mean that, you know, I'm like strict, you know, like I will never venture out or nothing, you know. I think that there's so many possibilities in the world, and there's so many possibilities even per project. And I like having this opportunity to explore that. And like I said before, just having it, for me, it actually is a moment of being able to breathe, you know. I think a lot of the times, maybe the public doesn't understand how much work an artist puts into work. That, you know, it feels natural, it seems easy, but sometimes it's not. And when it's not easy, and when something doesn't come right away, you still have a deadline and you still have to produce. And so you produce through those moments regardless. And sometimes that looks like an 18-hour day or a 20-hour day, because you're in this moment of figuring that out. And so I like the idea that I can even look at the projects that I have that are on pause right now, and contemplate them more, you know, because when the time comes that even those ideas are like little seeds in the ground, you know, and they're just having more time to nourish and cultivate. And when the time comes, I think that they will be even more stronger.
So we're close to wrapping up, and in our previous meeting, I had mentioned that I would ask one more, I don't know, future thinking question, and it's, where would you go once the quarantine is lifted?
I will go to the ocean, but I'm that way all the time. I'm like water.
I know.
Oaxaca. Going to visit Oaxaca.
Oaxaca, I know. To visit your grandmother.
Yeah.
No, your aunt.
Yeah, my aunt and yeah, my family, friends yeah, been in the coast and the valles, and probably visiting the Sierra too. I'll be spending time there. Sure.
And Daniel?
Oh, well, I want to go with Pavel, but I have to stop by in Zacatecas first.
Yeah, it'll be the second time going.
But Pavel and I have traveled to Oaxaca, but yeah, I would go. I would definitely have to go see my family in Zacatecas. I would love to go back and visit the town and see my cousins and my my aunts and uncles over there, and and make my way south to Mexico City, then Oaxaca, and take my fiance with me so she could meet everybody, and you know, yeah, we would love to do that safely.
I know, I
Yeah.
know. And eat at a lot of favorite places. You
Yes,
know,
yeah, 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 yeah.
yeah. There is one question, Nani. If you can share more about graffiti in Albuquerque.
Oh, um, hmm. So, I kind of don't know a whole lot right now. I do have a past. I was a graffiti writer for about 10 years and painted out here on all sorts of things. It's actually one of the things, it's the way that I learned to draw. Basically, it's how I learned. The first ways that I learned to draw wasn't I wasn't like particularly skilled or talented, and I got really excited about graffiti and loved graffiti. So I did the only kind of art that I did pretty much from 1995 to 2005 was graffiti. Um, and those were the years that I was active. I don't really look at it now so much. I do, there was some trains out where I'm working at Valle de Oro. There was some trains, and of course, I can't help but check that out. And I love looking at trains, but yeah, it's not something I keep up on.
So if you have anything or any like links that you can send me, and we'll make them available on our YouTube page so that anybody who's interested on it, or even past when you were involved, that would be great. I'm sure the history of
I mean, that was over 15 years ago. So but or 50, about 15 years ago. But no, I still love it. I get excited to know that there's that it's such a strong culture, and it's such an important culture. But yeah, I don't look at graffiti as much as I used to, when I was more a part of that world. Yeah, stay up, guys, whoever's out there doing graffiti. It's not something I really.
No, I'm gonna invite the three of you to share your social media handles one more time before we wrap up. Nani?
Oh, I should have wrote it down.
We'll put it on the Facebook. Don't worry, we'll make it available. But just share it out.
So on Facebook, I think it's Chacon Nani -1 or something like that. And then Instagram, I'm on Instagram at Nanibah is the one that's like kind of my current one that shows, everything from current projects to my life. And then at Nanibah Chacon is my kind of more archive, and it's just art. So not on Twitter, not on Tumblr, not on any of that other stuff. So no website, sorry guys. But yeah, reach out there. And thank you everybody who's here and out there and listening.
Daniel? Oh, Pavel, Pavel, listo.
Okay, well, this is mine on Instagram, Pavel _ Acevedo, just in Instagram. Yeah, you can find me there. Have actually a profile for Speedball, so whenever things go back again, like to like safely, like programs will be there. We'll be putting a schedule too. But yeah, find me with that, and Instagram will be fine.
Okay, and Daniel?
Okay, so mine is Print Gonzales, and you can put printgonzales.com or Print Gonzales on Instagram and on Facebook as well. I'd like to invite our participants today to create maybe a small portfolio, 3 prints each. I would love to publish it. Let's talk after the show.
Great, great. That's what this is about. That's what this is about. So I want to thank everyone, especially you three, for opening your studios making yourselves vulnerable to share your work, your experience, and sharing the ups and downs of this very strange times. And I want to thank everyone out there for joining us tonight. Next week, we will have Mario Ibarra Jr. with Rafael Cardenas and Amitis Motevali at 7 p.m. on Wednesday. So I look forward to seeing everyone there. And again, have a good night. And thank you, you three. Be safe.
Thank you. We'll see you. Bye.